Hey guys, Dom here, and today we're going to be doing a competitive analysis on Decidueye. And let's just go ahead and look at this guy. Decidueye is a very interesting looking mon, and competitively, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be absolute. That's right guys, you heard it straight from me. Look at this, the poop with the ghost and the grass with the grass, and it's not looking too hot for your boys Decidueye, not at all. Let's go ahead and take a look at its stats. It's got base 78 HP, 107 attack, 75 defense, 100 special attack and defense, and it's got 70 speed. So it's looking kind of strange because everyone was expecting, myself included, that when this Pokemon was revealed it was going to be a very fast mix attacker similar to Greninja, and base 70 speed is nowhere near what I was expecting as well as anyone. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are kind of disappointed in the lack of speed in this generation just based on the data mine that everyone has been looking at. If you haven't, then I guess don't watch this video, but you clicked on it for a reason. So anyway, let's go ahead and break down what it can actually do. Base 78 HP isn't really gonna give it enough bulk to be useful as a wall. It can be a bulky maybe utility mon, although it doesn't really get very many utility moves. It does however get Baton pass. Base 70 speed offensively in any tier regarding like UU or OU, that's going to be pretty much useless. It's going to get knocked out incredibly quickly. But in RU, you have to think that RU has a very odd niche, and almost all of its mons, they have a strange niche where they're either incredibly slow and fat as a wall, they're incredibly fast and kind of weak offensively, or they're kind of slow and stupidly strong but not very defensive. So this has the unique niche of having decent defenses in HP, and this speed stat actually lets it outspeed most of the defensive mons in the tier, and having Grass Goat's typing is pretty nice because you have Virizion, which can't really touch this. You have Slowking, which can come in on any of its moves. I mean, Star Shock will do a decent amount, but you've got Grass Stab to scare it out. You have Spirit Shackle as an arrow, the arrow move, which will let you trap any of the walls. Lomomola does not want to take an energy ball, or a Leaf Blade at +2. It can eat up Leaf Blades pretty fairly, but that's the problem with Decidueye, and the reason I said it's shit. It's because its attack and special attack stats are not high enough for it to give any real immediate threat. It does get Brave Bird to combat other grass types, but again, in RU and even lower tiers, most of the grass type Pokemon are pretty bulky, so it's not going to be able to OHKO with Brave Bird, although it shouldn't really be able to be threatened out offensively from other grass types, because it is neutral to Sludge Bomb or Poison type moves, and Hidden Power Fire with the Spadef stat can actually, it'll probably be more like a 2 or 3 hit KO against this thing, but it can pressure out other mons. Let's go ahead and look at some potential sets this thing can run. The first set that came to mind was Choice Band, just because base 70 speed is actually kind of nice for the potential for wall breaking, and having base 107 attack is not that bad, especially when it's boosted. Brave Bird can 2-hit KO Venusaur, which is a pretty potent RU defensive mon at this point in time, as well as obviously Virizion, which can't really do too much back to it. You got U-Turn or Sucker Punch. U-Turn if you want to gain momentum on switch outs like Virizion, Slowking, Bronzong, things like that, or Sucker Punch if you want to stay in and be able to hit faster threats such as Cinccino, Delphox, which will be code. You've got Aerodactyl. We'll hit all of those pretty hard, do around 50% to both, all three of those, and pretty much any fast threat. Even Flygon doesn't want to take a Sucker Punch too well. It doesn't take it too well later on in the game, like if it's lower, so it'll have to watch out for that. You've got Spirit Shackle, which can trap the likes of Bronzong, Slowking, any fatter mon that decides to stay in and go ahead and knock it out, or even whittle it. Like Spirit Shackle won't be too terribly strong, but if it's super effective, it will be doing a lot of damage. And even if it's not, unless it's like a super bulky mon or resisted like Drapion, for example, Spirit Shackle should be doing a good amount of damage. And on that note with Drapion, this Pokemon has a little bit of trouble with Poison, Dark, Steel, those three types, just because by themselves you can have a coverage move that can hit them at least neutrally, none super effectively. Its moveset isn't really that great. It doesn't even have like a decent fighting move to throw on here, so this can it's pretty much just to hit walls. It does get the good right coverage for pretty much every wall in the tier, and like I said, any frailer mon will not appreciate taking any hits from this. So yeah, that's pretty much the Choice Band set in a nutshell. Everyone knows what Choice Band does. It can function as a pseudo wall breaker. It's not super strong, but it can put some decent dents in mons. Here we have the spec set, which is not as good as the banded set, I would say, just because HP Fire, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball it's mediocre coverage, and anything switching in on HP Fire isn't going to be taking much. Energy Ball is a decent stab. The only real thing that does over Leaf Blade is hit Alomomola a little bit harder. Shadow Ball is a really solid stab move to have though, because a special ghost move is pretty nice to just tear through teams, just because it's neutral to most things. Again, it's walled by Drapion or pretty much any poison type. Not any poison type. Shadow Ball is neutral to regular poison, but the only real poison type that's a big threat in RU is going to be Drapion. And then you have to pretty much run U-turn because it doesn't have any other special coverage moves, and that'll just gain momentum and you can switch out immediately. Like I said, Decidueye is not going to be the greatest Pokemon. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if it got knocked down to NU, but this competitive analysis is going to be expecting it to go to RU, just because I could see it working a little bit there. Not great, but it can work. The next set I thought of was like a sub Salac Berry set with SD, and this will allow it, once it gets the Salac Berry boost, to outspeed every Pokemon in the tier so far as of right now. Well, everything in Sun and Moon is slow so far, so yes, it will outspeed everything in the RU tier except for Aerodactyl, Jolteon, and Excelgor. I believe those are all of the base 130 and aboves. It will hit 363, I believe, 393. After the Salac Berry boost. SD gives Spirit Shackle and Leaf Blade a monstrous amount of damage. If you can get a couple of them up, it'll actually be able to just flat out sweep. I ran some calcs and it actually does do a pretty good amount of damage. You have to be at +4 to be able to knock out like Escavalier and things like that, but as long as they don't resist it, you're in pretty good shape. Obviously, Drapion and Registeel are problems as well, as usual with this Pokemon. But this isn't really a set I see being very viable. This would be more of a gimmick set people would run. I don't even think I would run it personally, but it's just something that's there with the tools that are given with it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next set. Now this set, I'm not really sure how it would work because I haven't used any Z moves, nor did I play the Sun and Moon demo, so I'm not really sure exactly how strong Z moves are. But I do know that the Decidueye Z allows Spirit Shackle to become a base 180 physical ghost type attack, so that's actually a huge wall breaking potential move right there. So if you set up an SD and then fire that bad boy off, it's gonna kill pretty much anything that comes in its way. I guess that can be said for pretty much any Z move based on the damage I've seen and the base powers of them, but still, just if you're gonna have a Z move on your team, ghost type Z move is not the bad thing to have. So you've got Sucker Punch for dealing with faster threats after an SD here as well, and then Leaf Blade is Leaf Blade and Spirit Shackle to continue to sweep or just put big holes in Pokemon after the Spirit Shackle. So this would be something you keep in the back or bring out on a Slowmon when you need to punch a hole in someone's wall, or just their team in general, and gain some momentum. Again, I'm not really sure how viable Z moves will be in the game, but Decidueye is kind of bad, not gonna lie, so I wouldn't even put it past myself using Decidueye Z, as long as it can actually do something on my team. Now we can start with some utility sets. This set is capitalizing on its ability to Baton Pass. You've got Leftovers and Cobra Berry, just depending on what you want to do with it. Nasty Flutter SD, pass a Nasty Blast or Sword Stance Pass to pretty much anything on your team that wants to use it. It's not that fast, like I said, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to get Baton Passes off, but if they work, it'll be pretty nice. You get Baton Pass Roost to stay healthy if you want to try and Baton Pass later in the game, and Spirit Shackle just to trap in anything that you can like set up on that's not an immediate threat to you, and if it works out, that's great. If not, you can always just switch out to another Mon. Again, not really sure how viable it will be as a Baton Pass user, but it's got it and you can take advantage of it. The final set that I made, and it's one I can actually see myself using quite a lot because it's always nice to have a good hazard removal mon, and it not being weak to rocks when it comes in is actually pretty cool. And you've got Defog, U-turn, Roost, Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle just as a reliable stab, Roost to stay healthy and come back in again another time, U-turn just to gain momentum or switch out, and then Defog to get rid of hazards. This is not going to be too big of an offensive threat. Obviously, I would probably, if I was going to do this set, run like max HP, max speed, something like that, or not even max speed. I guess I'd speed creep whatever the immediate threat in the tier would be, and then put a little bit more in bulk. But it could actually be a pretty reliable defogger as long as you use it correctly. If you come in on slow mons or ground types or anything that can't really damage the Decidueye too much. Its typing's very niche. It's not great, it's not bad, but it can capitalize on a couple things. As long as you come in on like a fighting type with no dark stab, for example, easy defog. Rock types, pretty much an easy defog because yes, Stone Edge will be, or rock type moves in general will be neutral, but it should be able to let them defog out. U-turn, come back in, roost off again on another thing. Again, it's nice to have an added defogger to the metagame. We're in no short supply of those at all, so that's going to be pretty much it as far as sets that I've come up with. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've really worked hard on it, and I've been having this kind of thing in the old lab for a while. I will be bringing more of these as I get time and as I look further into the other Pokemon. I do have access to all of the Pokemon and their moves, so you should see these coming maybe once every couple days. I do have to look over them, and like I said, I'm not really that happy with most of the stats and the moves that a lot of the mons got. They're very slow, but we can still work with them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.